Hello and welcome to the Iceni Women's Series with me, Emma Martin. The first challenge last week saw our racers take on 4 sprints. Today we have 3 plus a mad dash for the finish line. This is an individual points race and, after all 4 races this month, the rider in each category with the most points will take the top step on the podium. The racing here is brought to you by the Warrior Games and the Aeonian race team, with the production and broadcast fully supported by ZMS Studios and Full Speed Events. And there's lots coming. The Iceni Race Series here every Saturday throughout September. Well, the Aeonian race team and Full Speed Events also bringing you back the WOW Chain Gang this Wednesday. It's going to be action-packed. Well, there it is on the screen. That's a QR code. You can scan that and head straight to the events page to click on and enter that on Wednesday. Well, today, this is challenge 2 of 4. We started last week with Castle Crit 4 laps. Today we are on Canopies and Coastlines. There's something for everybody on this course today. Challenge 3 and Challenge 4, well, they are for later this month. The power-ups are with us every single week. Well, let's take a look at what lies ahead for our 4 race categories today and where those points can be won. So, Canopies and Coastlines today, 27.8 kilometres of racing for our women, 232 metres of climbing. And you can see along the way, we have 3 sprints. The Woodland sprint, the Sasquatch sprint, and the Acropolis sprint. Now, 2 of those are fastest through the sprint segment, and the top 10 riders fastest through those 2 segments, 1 and 3, will take away points. The points, well, they are on the left-hand side of your screen. First across the line is our second sprint of the day. And, the top 10 riders there as well will be picking up points. The finish line, well, 75 points on offer at the finish line today, so a total of 150 maximum points available. This, however, is a tricky course because the lead-in to the race course is really long, and actually, I'd argue it's the most difficult part of the course because it's a 4.9 kilometre lead-in from those start pens to the top of Titan's Grove. And the sprints, well, they don't start coming on this course until we get to the 14.2 kilometre mark. So we are going to have had some racing under our belts before we start picking up points. And the riders need to remember, well, if they've read their race manual, they will, there are no points on Titan's Grove. And that is part and parcel of that first 5 kilometres of the race today. Well, it is going to be tricky. We're going to see how many riders remember what is going on in the race manual. Now, we have over 100 riders on the start line today for today's challenge number 2. We were slightly bigger number of riders last week, and of course racing every single week on a Saturday afternoon. Well, that's if you are in the UK or Europe. Obviously our riders, well, they are from around the world, so many different time zones in play today. For some of these races it's first thing in the morning, for others it's mid-afternoon, for some of our races it will indeed be evening. I'm lucky, I'm here in France. It is around, 4 p.m. in the afternoon coming up, and it is going to be great racing. So we are covering all 4 race categories. Categories A will be off first, 1 minute later category B, C, and then D. So a 1 minute gap between all 4 of our race categories. All 4 race categories will be on the race coverage today. And, power-ups are also evident. You can see those at the top of the screen. So a feather, the aero, and the draft all in play today. Now, the feather, 30 seconds, that makes you more lightweight. The aero, more aerodynamic, but it just lasts for 15 seconds. The draft, well, that increases the amount of draft you have available to you and lasts the longest. It's a 40-second power-up. And strategically playing these power-ups in the right place and making sure you pick them up on course, absolutely crucial to what is going to happen today and to enable our riders to pick up the most points. Now, the Iceni race series takes place at 2 time slots, and there are 2 different sets of series running. The first time slot 9 a.m. BST, the second one 3 p.m. BST. That's the one we're covering at the moment. This morning 69 riders took to the race start, and well, category A, the fastest time 42 minutes 28 seconds, so it gives us some indication of the pace of the racing we are going to see today. Category B 44.56, category C 46.12, and category D 49 and 3 seconds it took them to cross the finish line. And if you want to see the results from that earlier race, you can head over to zwiftpower.com and they are all there for you. Well, the current standings at the moment after challenge number 1, you can see 5 riders competed in category A last week, and it is tied at the top on points. Mayel and Jill Pruitt both tying on 109 points. Bridget there, 98 points, not too far back. It really is open, and open it also is in category B, because Randy Gino, 103, Becca Neeson, 102. It's close at the top in A and B, not quite as close in C. Lily Franken and Nicola Smith, 10 points separating them, but take a look how close it is behind Nicola Smith in 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th and 9th, even 10th tied on points. So it's not all settled at all by a long shot there. And category D, well, 99 points for Celine Savage, Sonia Weber 97, Beth are on 90, and again quite close down behind. So we're going to see a lot of our riders today racing hard to pick up points. Well, category A are up and out of the start pen already. Jill Pruitt in the mix, and we saw there she was tied on points with Mayella at 109 coming into this. So it's taking a look and seeing how this is going to play out today in category A. Jill Pruitt, a very regular racer and rider, knows exactly what she's doing, and I'm sure she's going to have a plan to continue with the strength we saw in the sprints last week. Now, round 1 and round 2, a lot of sprint action, even though there are some climbs on the courses today. The climbing segments and the points for the climbs not coming on the Iceni series until stage 3 and stage 4 in the latter half of the month. Now, Break is here. Jem Brewer is in the mix as well as Yareth. Along with Pruitt, these riders, one nice tight group rolling well. Over a minute of racing already complete. So category A out of the start pen. Category B are up and rolling as well. Now let's just remind ourselves, it was Gino with 103 and Neeson at 102 in terms of that points list. Those riders in the mix today. In fact, we're in with Becca Neeson at the moment. She's 1 point off the lead, sat in 2nd place overall at the moment. She's really going to be thinking about executing those sprints and picking up those points. 25 points maximum for the winner of each of those sprints today, whether that's fastest through the segment or first across the line. And those 25 points for first place, followed up by 18 points for second place. So a big gap. Well worth really putting in the effort to pick up those sprint points today. So category B rolling well, rolling strongly as a group on the early part of this course, as we see the huge group of category C riders come out of the start pen. Meskova from Galaxy is here, so is Smith from Aonian. Sperry from ATP is here. Really great to see these riders. O'Rourke is in the mix as well. Oh, really strong riders. And we saw really close racing from this category last week. And you could see that by the fact there weren't the extremes at the top of the points table. So category A and category B, over 100 points to first and second. In category C, Franklin picking up 85 points from Smith, 75, Mescova's 74. A lot lower points because those points were really spread out amongst this pack, and that's because of the size of the racing field. So Ane is in here, so is Bridget from the Coalition, and it's great to see the riders in the mix here. Peterson from Dirt is here too. Armistead, Carmen is in the mix. Sandra from Dirt is in here as well. Randomski from the Ionian squad is here. And I think I may well have seen Bergin in the mix as well. Great to have her back and in the group. As category D are also up and rolling now, and 21 riders out of the start pen in category D. Now, it was indeed Savage who picked up 99 points for the win last week. I can see it. Yep, the Evo rider is in the mix along with Marshall, Sarah from Hurd, Schaffer from the UK rode well last week as well. Zwift, Walker, Nancy, all in the mix. And you can see the flags from the countries that our riders are coming from. The Canadian riders, the GB riders, the Swiss riders in the mix, riders from the States, riders from France, a real mix of riders, and some of the riders also from South Africa. Real mix of who's who in the mix, and all bringing their A game to the Iceni race series. So you can see all four of our race fields now rolling through. And I say rolling because this course comes out of the start pen and goes through and up Titans Grove. The first 5 kilometres of this race are through the rolling lands of Titans Grove and up onto that Titans Grove climb. Now you can see here at the moment, this is our category A race. They've been racing just shy of 5 minutes. And on the top right hand corner of your screen, you can see the gradient that they are on at the moment. 5% at the moment. They're coming up and sweeping through these large redwood trees. They're going to come round this left hand bend, and Gem and Pruitt Break are all in here. This is one tight group and they're all rolling together. Look at the gradient change. It's now down -7, -2, -1, back to 0. And you can see the gradient here. It continually rolls through this section before we get onto the longer climb up to the top of Titans Grove. Now, things for our riders to watch. Staying in the pack, absolutely key. You can take the draft still through this section at 3-4%. The draft still is available to you, so there is still benefit for being on the back of the group. And one of the things that's really useful here is cadence. And a lot of our riders, cadence drills are really useful. So being able to manipulate that cadence from anywhere as slow as 60 RPM on a climb, really using your strength up to 100 or 120 RPM, revs per minute, to really increase the pace that you are moving at, and to use it rather than changing gear on these rollers, changing cadence. Well, our riders will have that cadence drill, particularly our category A riders, and you can see them continuing through these rollers. They are again on the descent and rolling really strongly, just shy of 50 kilometers an hour. Our category A riders, as the pace continues to pick up, they're now 55 kilometers an hour, just shy of, before they go back up the next roller. And you can see how quickly the gradient is changing for our riders. You can see the same with category B. 3 kilometres into this race already, and as we said, it's just shy of 5 kilometres the lead in before we get to the Canopies and Coastlines actual course, and on the same segment there. And the gradient shot below really giving you a lovely indicator. The blue less steep, the yellow slightly steeper, the red the maximum gradient that we can see, and you can see that constantly changing, and our riders really responding well to the ups and downs of the course so far here on the Iceni Women's Series. This is Challenge 2. This is Canopies and Coastlines. Category A, Category B, Category C and Category D. All 4 categories of women racing on your screen, giving us a great opportunity to showcase what our female riders can do. Well, Meskova from Galaxy was in the top 3 last week. Smith from Synergy is in here as well. Peterson from Dirt in the mix. Hamilton from Kitty Hawk, she is in here too. Now, Hamilton, interestingly, also raced this morning in the earlier slot. Hamilton from Kitty Hawk took the win in the Cassie race earlier on today, 46 minutes 12 seconds. Interesting to see she's gone a double day and she's in the mix racing again. Well, how can she do today? Well, it's JM from the Canadian rider who's out front at the moment, just pushing on the climb a little, very early on in this race at the moment. You can see the climb now coming ahead of our Category D riders as well, JM just pushes the pace a little. Interesting tactics here from our Category D rider, because we've got a long run before we get to the first points section. There are no points allocated on this early climb. That first point section coming at the Woodland sprint is the fastest through the segment sprint, coming at 14.2 kilometres. Our Category A riders now are coming up towards the 5 kilometre mark. They're coming towards the top of Titans Grove, and you can see that there. They're indicating the top, and you can see the gradient here just about to shy off as they get to the top of Titans Grove. This is going to be the end of the run-in. There you go. That's the line on the road. That's the top of the Queen of the Mountains, but no points today for the Queen of the Mountains on Titans Grove. And you can see all of our A category riders rolling through that without pushing on the front. Our B category riders, however, we've got one rider just off the front at the moment, and Randy Race's bikes, well, pushing on at the front here, not needing to. No points the OTR rider can pick up at the top of this section. What she is doing, however, is stretching the group. They are going to come over the top of the climb and descend the other side, and then it is, I'm going to say, fairly flat. It is fairly rolling throughout the rest of the course, but no main hills like our racers are on at the moment. The rest of the riders now closing the gap, and Becca Neeson from Coalition closing it down. Judy from the Dinos, Parker is there, Lowe is there from Synergy, Alan from West CC is also in the mix. These riders 2 seconds separating the front from the back of the B category at the moment. They're about to come towards the top and go across the line on the road, indicating the top of the climb. They will then run down the other side, and it'll be a fast downhill for our Category B riders, and I'm expecting them to all come together when we get to the bottom. There's also a stretch on our Category C group at the moment, and it's Bergin heading the pace at the moment. So Bergin putting in the pace at the moment on the front of this Category C group, just making sure, well, she's stretching the legs of some of these riders early in this race like we saw on Category B. And perhaps this is much more because there are more riders in this race. Bergin trying to make the riders push a little harder, make their legs ache a little bit more. Randomski from the Ionian squad just about off the back of the group at the moment, not too bothered about this. Neither is Eklund from Swedish Swifters. Sperry is there too. Jonsson from Swedish Swifters also in the mix. O'Rourke is there too from ART. So is Vale. These riders all looking potentially to come together, but this stretch on the front of this Category C group from Bergin really causing a much longer stretch here, and these riders are going to have to watch how they ride the downhill, because, well, that leading group could well go away from them. So Armistead, Umbrello, Carmen, O'Rourke, all needing to push on now. They're 3 seconds back. Category D, are we seeing something similar? Yes, we are. So it's looking like Category D already stretching here. And Jem, Nancy, Aisha pushing on the pace here at the moment. Savage is in that chase group behind, but we've only got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 riders at the front of this Category D group. We've then got 14-second gap back. Now, 14-second gap back to the group will mean the group is bigger behind. Now, whether these two groups will come together, time will tell. But at the 14.2 kilometre mark, it's fastest through the segment not first across the line. That's for our second sprint. So if a group of 7 go clear, they may well mop up the points on the second sprint, but not necessarily on the first and the third. Well, Savage, who is currently leading the Category D points competition at the moment, Weber, then Ross, Taylor, then Hoffman. They are the riders behind her. She's slowly closing that gap down, but taking a look at the riders, Zwift from Level is the last rider in that group. Hannah G from Level racing 15 seconds back now with what looks like the big group of Category D racers. Well, as Category D come to the top of Titans Grove, really interesting racing in Category B, C and D, because they are utilising Titans Grove to stretch and break the group so early in this race. And as we said, perhaps this is due to the larger numbers in those race fields rather than Category A. Category A leaving it all out there for the sprints. And well, they are indeed all still together now, 8.2 kilometres into this 27.8 kilometre race. And well, perhaps it's time to hear from one of our riders. If you joined us last week, you know that we asked a number of our women racers to put a little video together for our broadcast to tell our viewers what motivates them to compete in a Zwift race and what message do they want to share through it. Well, we're going to hear from Lisa Hopkins first today.
Hi, it's Lisa Hopkins here from Level Esports. So what motivates me? Fitness mainly. So I Zwift and I race and I ride to keep fit and to keep the weight off, which sometimes doesn't always work. Secondary to that is the camaraderie. I absolutely love the banter that you have on the races. There's specific series I can think of, mainly FRR, one of them, where the banter is fantastic. Not just that, just the support through the races, through your teammates and through riders from other teams that you continuously ride with on these races in these series. It's just fantastic. I absolutely love racing with Zwift, and I'm so glad I joined.
Well, support, community, a bit of banter and chatter. It's what it's all about. And that is what Lisa has found by racing on Zwift and joining these women's racing communities. And it's great to see week in, week out, so many women racing and part and parcel of those social communities as well, whether that is racing or whether that is riding to stay fit. As Lisa talks about, all 4 of our race categories out on the Canopies and Coastlines course at the moment. And our Category A are racers who started, they were first out of the pen, 9.6 kilometres now of the course done. And you can see they're moving really, really strongly as a group at 43 kilometres an hour. Category B, a little bit further back down the course, they're about 1 kilometre behind. And we saw some real pushes in that group, but it's looking like it's come back together again after that initial push on Titans Grove. Category C are not, well, look at Bergen and look at the race field of Category C, 500 metres behind the racers in Category B, and absolutely motoring. She's still off the front of that group, and the chase group you can see in the distance behind still rolling, but absolutely adamant she's keeping the pace on this group and really chasing Category B down. Category D, the leaders of that, well, that race field got split apart on Titans Grove, and at 7.2 kilometres into the race, we've now got 2 riders staying clear. And JM and Nancy, the 2 Canadian riders, I wonder whether there was some conversation between these 2 to start with. I'd love to know. But they are absolutely tearing this Category D race apart. So we had 7 riders clear on the top of Titans Grove. JM and Nancy have gone clear as a group of 2. 2 Canadian riders leading this out. 12 seconds back to the chase group of 5. Aisha Savage, our current leader in the points competition. Sarah from Herd, the coalition rider, is in there as well. Zwift from Level. Those 5 riders, part and parcel of this chase group, and they are rolling well and rolling strongly. Then we've got a 28-second gap back to the larger group on the road, and you can see them just on the top right-hand corner of your screen. They've just gone into the bend, and then a number of riders scattered on the race course behind. Really interesting to see how this Category D race is playing out, because it is multitude of groups on the road, whether that's groups of 2, groups of 5, groups of 4, groups of 3. They are scattered like skittles all over the racecourse. Category A now at 11.2 kilometres, and this group still rolling strongly together. The pace has been really strong, but this part of the course majoritively downhill at the moment. You can see on the top right hand corner, currently -2, -1. Now it's pancake flat at 0%. A little bit of a rise over the bridge, and then we'll see it steady off again. But the pack here rolling really strongly. Break Gem is in here. Brewer is here. Pruitt. You know, these riders rolling really well, and really good to see the work being done. China Jareth is in there as well for Watford Brick, and riders really just riding along. And this race, well, this Category A race for me is going to be all about those sprints. Well, great to see those words from Lisa Hopkins, as well as the video that we saw shortly a little while ago. I do think perhaps before we start going into those sprint segments, it might be time to bring you one of our other women racers as well. Let's hear from Mel Scriven.
Hi, I'm Mel from the UK, racing Cat D for ESRT, and I started racing on Zwift because I find it really hard to push myself. So I thought if I had some competition, maybe I would find it easier to go a bit harder and find my real limits instead of taking it easy all the time. And it's true that if you've got someone to chase or someone chasing you, you suddenly seem to find extra watts and a new way of suffering. And my message to anybody thinking of racing is just do it. There's nothing to stop you on Zwift. No potholes, no weather, no crashes, not even any entry fees. So you've got nothing to lose and an awful lot to gain. And the women's community on Zwift is brilliant. So see you in the pens.
Well, she's right, you know, the roads are smooth. There are no potholes to make sure you avoid, and challenging yourself, absolutely critical and crucial. And that's what our women are doing today, challenging themselves with like-level racing. And that's what our 4 categories are about. You're racing in a race field of similar ability riders, and that is absolutely fantastic for ensuring you are challenging yourself and that the racing is good. Well, one of the things I do just want to mention before we move into the sprint sections today, and that is, we've just heard from Lisa Hopkins and Mel Scriven, names. Can I just ask, in terms of each week on the Iceni race series, that your name that you use to register is the same? I do know some riders change their names because of events that are going on in the week. So, for example, if you are part and parcel of a team time trial, we might see our riders put a 1 in front of their name and then remove their surname. So it's, say, for example, 1.Emma rather than Emma Martin. Can we just ensure, please, that when you come back to race the Iceni, that your name that you raced the week before is the same name you've got? It does help our little administrators tapping away on the keyboard behind the scenes to ensure that you are the right person who gets allocated your points. Well, at 13.5 kilometres into the race, this Category A group are really now starting to think about what they are doing and how they are going to play the rest of this race out. Pruitt at the back of the group, really starting to try and time her efforts, because that first sprint is coming up. The first sprint, the Woodland sprint today, is fastest through the segment. Top 10 riders are going to pick up points, but 25, 18, 15, 12, 10, 8, 6, 4, 2 and 1. There's some big discrepancies between those riders, so absolutely crucial to get this right, get this timing right. And well, coming from the back of the group, through the group and utilising the draft, usually one of the best ways to pick up the fastest time. And that's what this Woodland sprint is all about now. It is a challenge challenging sprint because it's a long sprint. It's 500 meters. Not expecting our riders to really wind it up early on, because otherwise they're going to be hanging themselves out there and potentially seeing another rider come up and past. This really is about timing and executing your sprint to perfection. Well, the power-up's going down, and the power-up's going down early, and the orange numbers lighting the way. Break at 10.7. Pruitt coming through from the back, though, and right off the back at 12 watts per kilo. We know she's got a phenomenal sprint. Gem is leading this out. Yara from Watford Brick is there as well. Break is there too at 12. 11 watts per kilo, but Pruitt is holding 10. She's got a power up as well, and she's coming through at lightweight, and that's why, because she had a feather up and over the top. The timing is to absolute perfection. Pruitt comes from the back of the group to the front of the group. Those feathers last for 30 seconds. And well, look at that. The green jersey allocated to Pruitt on the screen. Absolutely fantastic technique and execution from Pruitt, showing us exactly why she picked up so many of those points last week and, well, what her game plan is today. So Pruitt picking up the points there, picking up maximum points through the Woodland sprint in Category A. Back in Category B, it's one big group coming in. 10 riders. The power-up's already starting to go down. They've still got 100 metres to go. That aero power-up from Angie, it's an early power-up at the moment, but the others are coming in too now over the green line and pulling it on and pushing right to the front of the group very, very early with that draft power-up. It is a long power-up at 40 seconds. They are motoring on the front of this. Neeson from Coalition, from Randy Race's Bikes, from Alan. Judy from the Dinos is in there as well, and Parker is at the back, but it's Randy Race's Bikes who's putting out the big numbers at the moment. That's the green banner signifying the end of the sprint, and the push is coming really, really hard. Neeson is there, but Randy Race's Bikes, phenomenal numbers. It's going to be interesting to see who picks up the points there, who gets allocated the jersey, but well, what an effort from our Category B riders. We're going to have to wait and see till the end of the show who picks up those points, but there are a number of riders in the mix there, and the execution was really interesting. Well, coming in hot on Category C, we've got one rider off the front at the moment, and that's Smith from Synergy out on their own. Eggman is there with that. Oh, look at the aero power up. Now the aero power up only lasts 15 seconds, whereas that draft is 40. It's a much better one to have, and it is indeed Bergen who's coming through the pack, and look at the power there. Hamilton further back as well is in orange, so Hamilton and Haskus is there too with Bergen, and Nay from Gen 2 is coming over the top. Meskovig from Galaxy is there as well. Phenomenal point she picked up last week, but it's Franken and Peterson from Dirt coming through. The feather is on as well as Franken comes through too. Wow. That Category C competition through that sprint, very, very competitive. The proliferation of power-ups, absolutely doing what power-ups do and aiding our riders through that sprint section. But who is going to take away those points? Well, we have to wait till the end of the show to find out when we bring up all of the point segments, and we can take a look at, because points are added together to give the overall winner today. And today's points are added to challenge 1 points from last week to give the series winner. Category D, our only category not yet to go through the first sprint section. And this is going to be interesting. So Nancy and JM are still off the front, the two Canadian riders who continued the break over Titans Grove and onwards. It was a group of 7, now a group of 2. 47 seconds back to the chasing group of 5. And then a minute and 13 back to the rest of the Category D main peloton. Really interesting to see, because this is not going to be straightforward to pick up who goes fastest through the segment, because those 2 riders out front, not as much draft as the group behind. 5 riders in the group 2, but take a look at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 riders. Oh my goodness. 5 riders in group 2, 5 riders in group 3. Another gap back, so 2 riders off the front, 5 riders, and then a further chase group behind. The Category D race is absolutely in smithereens. So 500 metres out from the first sprint segment. This is the Woodland sprint. It is indeed 500 metres in length, so it's a long sprint for these two riders. Going to be interesting to see what tactics they use, whether they both just go for this or whether they continue riding and perhaps want to pick up the first and second points on the next sprint section, which is a first across the line. But it's the fastest through the segment first, and that is what counts. These two riders are really going to have to work hard if they want to pick up those points, because the riders in the packs behind, technically with that draft available to them from the group, likely to go faster, but who knows? 500 sprint metre segment just coming around the corner now for these two riders, and the two Canadian riders out front here. Now we're starting to see the power-ups go down, but the pace is not picked up hugely at all. So JM comes to the fore with that power-up, with that aero. 15 seconds that power-up, going to provide benefit. But take a look at the pace, 3.5, 3.8 watts per kilo. This is not a sprint. This is just a pickup of pace and a continuation of pace. These two riders, I don't think, are trying to challenge for these fastest through the segment. I think they want to pick up the points by coming off the front, winning the first across the line and taking those finish line positions. Very different tactics at play in all of our groups today, and it's going to be interesting. We did see different tactics in Category D last week, and they did pay off because the rider picked up second place overall. We're obviously seeing a resurgence of those different types of tactics in Category D, but this is the chasing bunch coming through. Zwift from Level is there, Weber from Coalition, but it is indeed Sarah from Herd who's coming through from the back. So is Savage from Evo. In fact, Savage from Evo right on the back of this group just dropped the feather power up in perfect timing because she's still got riders out front to draft from. So Savage currently leading overall Category D, but wow, what a push from Weber from Coalition. Phenomenal sprint effort coming here right to the line. The Coalition rider putting in some fantastic performances. Sarah from Herd riding strongly too. Some great efforts and great sprinting from that second pack. This is the third pack on the road. This is the big pack because Hannah from Level is leading this out from Schaffer, from Taylor. These three riders absolutely nailing this. In fact, Schaffer's putting out some great numbers, 6.9 watts per kilo from the American rider there as Schaffer pushes on. She's really adamant she wants to stay in that group, but Taylor from Level at the front is adamant she's taking it over the line. Hannah G from Level as well is in the mix. Oh, it really is going to be interesting to see who picks up the points from Category D, because those three different groups have already gone over the line. Category A are now coming up to our second sprint. This is first across the line. This is not about the time. This is about who goes over first. And Brewer is pushing, but it is not Brewer who's in the lead at the moment. That aero power-up, Jareth from Watford Brick is absolutely motoring here, but she's got company because Break is coming. So is Pruitt. Gem and Brewer are back behind, but Pruitt is coming. Gina Jareth is coming up and over the top. Is it going to be Break? Is it going to be Pruitt? I think it's Break who took that from Pruitt this time. So the points play out a little differently on Sprint 2. And it's all because it's first across the line, not fastest through the segment. The group of 10 riders in Category B, well, it's winding up already on the road at the moment at 19 kilometres, and they are absolutely motoring. She's not at the sprint yet, but Randy Rice's bikes has gone off the front. That's the start of the sprint section there. She's already put an effort in on the group, and they've let her get 2 or 3 seconds. They're going to have to absolutely motor to close her down. This is about first across the line, and now the feather power up comes in, making those numbers even better. But Angie from CMC, the South African rider, absolutely motoring behind. She's adamant she now wants to close the gap and see if she can bring this down. Kate is there as well as Becca Neeson. Neeson comes up and over the top into third, but they're not going to close down. Randy races bikes, Angie and Neeson. Kate is there too, so is Parker and Lowe from Synergy, Alan from West CC and Judy from the Dinos, all in the mix. Oh, Category B, it is really close, this racing today in Category B, and it's all going to be about the points. Category C, well, that pull from Bergen has really closed the gap down to our Category B racers. And the Category C racers, well, the front group have now into the sprint straight away behind. And it's Hamilton from Kitty Hawk, but the feather power-ups have just gone in and they're going over the top. So Bergen now leading it out from Meskova, from Franken. Bergen going orange. Smith from Synergy is there as Peterson from Dirt and Ney from Gen 2 as well. But it's going to be Bergen, I think, who's going to be first across the line here. Can Franken do anything about it? No, I don't think she can. So Bergen, Franken, Smith, Meskova, Peterson and Ney. Those riders all through and across the line on the Sasquatch sprint. First across the line, top 10 riders picking up points. A little bit further back down the race field, the riders here just continuing to push and continuing to push through the section. Still points to pick up because it's the top 10 riders and not 10 riders in that leading group. 2 riders just off the back there of the 33 riders in this Category C race. And you can see a little bit further back, another group 38 seconds back. And that looks to me like a bigger group, but it's looking like Hasselkus and Eklund from the Swedish Zwifters, the last 2 riders to pick up points in Category C in our second sprint. Oh, it is all change again in Category D. Our 2 Canadian riders still off the front here, 17.6 kilometres. They're still about 1.5 kilometres away from the second sprint, where first across the line is going to count. So Nancy and JM, the 2 Canadian riders, still clear. Savage from Evo, the rider who is leading the points competition overall coming into today's racing, now 37 seconds back. She's 25 seconds up on the chase group that she was part of last time we dropped in with Category D. So Savage now trying to close the gap between the chase group and the leading 2, and she's currently sat in no man's land but clearly in 3rd position, and that will mean she picks up more points in this sprint because it being first across the line. We've now got a chase group of 4 behind Savage, 26 seconds back, and a further 20 seconds back. Well, that group looks like it's splitting as well, because it's looking like Marshall from Coalition is just hanging off the front of that 3rd group. Taylor Walker Ross, Hannah G from Level, all in there. But these riders now really starting to think about how they pick up points. This group, interestingly, the 3rd chase group on the road, containing 8th, 9th and 10th, as well as 11th, 12th and 13th. So half of this group will pick up points and half won't in the sprint. And I think that's why Marshall from Coalition is off the front at the moment. Adamant she wants to pick up points in the next sprint section. First across the line, top 10 riders. And at 17.7 kilometres, she's still some way out. But she can make inroads now. And, well, that will serve her well in terms of picking up points on the sprint. Nancy and JM, the 2 Canadian riders, still out front at the moment. They're 500 metres out from this second sprint, just about to come over the bridge. Savage from Evo, the French rider, closing down, but still hanging at around 39, 40 seconds back. The pace from Nancy and JM, these 2 riders look as though they're working together. And Nancy just putting in the power up there, that sort of indicates to me that these 2 riders, because they are out front, they don't need to sprint to pick up points. They just need to continue at a steady pace and they will pick up those points because they will be first across the line. So saving the legs for the end of the race should any of the riders behind make the catch, but well, that is to be questioned because of the gap that these 2 riders have. So here we are through the sprint section. Neither of these 2 riders needing to sprint. First across the line, JM and Nancy. Is it going to be a battle between the 2 of them for that green banner, or is Nancy going to let JM ride across the line in the positions that they are currently in? Yep, I think that is indeed what is going to happen. So JM crosses the line in front of Nancy. Those two riders went clear very early in the race. They've been clear for about 14 kilometres. Sauvage from Evo, well, she's gone clear in the last 5 kilometres, dropping in that feather power up because she knows she can pick up another power up at the sprint banner, and it may well be something she would rather take into the finish line than a feather. So Sauvage looking like she's going to come across the line in 3rd place, and that again, no need to sprint here for her, unlike we saw in that category C race where those riders were frantically sprinting to pick up those points. Sauvage just pushing on to pick up 3rd place in the category D race. Well, for me, the chase is all going to be about on behind because we've had 1, 2 and 3 go over the line. But the rest of the top 10 across the line here in the D race, they're going to have to motor for it. And motor for it they are, because Swift from Level is now picking up from Marshall from Coalition. Walker is there, so is Shafter and Taylor and Ross. Oh, they're a little bit further back, but it is Aisha and Sarah absolutely pushing on. So Sarah from Hurd, from Aisha, from Weber, from Swift. Well, they pick up the first 7 or 8 points because Marshall is going to come through now. Marshall coming through for that 8th position. Well, she's coming through again because she rode clear from the chase group, and you can see the chase group about 6-7 seconds back. Taylor from Level is leading that out. Hannah G from Level in 2nd place. Schaffer and Ross from Rave coming through. All of those riders going to be wanting to pick up points, but not all of them are going to be able. Well, category A has indeed broken apart again because look at the stretch on the group. It's looking like break gone on the front. 16 seconds clear. This is the chase group behind. So the Stone Away sprint coming at 24.8 kilometres. That's where these riders are coming up to. This is the fastest through the section sprint. So exactly as we saw on the first sprint day, not necessarily the first across the line. So going clear off the front, not having any benefit on this sprint to pick up points at all. This, for me, is a break for the win from Break, the rider we are seeing clear here. She's 15 seconds clear. The chase is on behind for the fastest through the sprint, no, because look at the what's coming out from Brewer and Pruitt behind. Brewer now pushing down hard. Pruitt in the lead. Yareth is working hard behind. Jem just wanting to pick up what she can, but Pruitt absolutely motoring on the front here. Can she maintain this winning streak on this fast across the line, or first just through the segment sprints? She's absolutely nailing it again. Well, I think Jill Pruitt's probably going to pick up the fastest time there again through the Acropolis sprint. This now is all about the run into the finish, and it's a 10-second gap to the lone leader in category A. Brewer and Pruitt are 3 seconds up on the 2 behind. Are we going to see the group come back together again in category A, or is that it? Will the lone leader win? Category B now coming up onto the start line of the final sprint day, the Acropolis sprint. This is fastest through the section. It's a 450-metre sprint. These are long sprints today as the race is on. Becca Neeson from Coalition is on the front. Randy Races Bikes is in the mix from OTR. So is Alan from West CC. Low from Synergy is there, is Junie from Dinos. But it's Randy Races Bikes off the front pushing on. Big numbers coming from Randy Races Bikes. 7.2 watts per kilo. Neeson sticking the numbers in as well, and the chase is on. Now, the draft power-ups absolutely enabling these women to move through the pack swiftly and fastly, and really starting to wind the motor up, and not necessarily needing to put in as much power as some of the other riders for a fast time, enabled by that draft power-up. Well, category A, we've still got break off the front at 26.2 kilometres. Let's just remind ourselves, it's a 27.5 kilometre race, so 1,200 metres from the finish now. Break at 6 seconds because Jem and Erith are pushing on. Pruitt is there as well, so Pruitt and Brewer have closed the gap down. It was 3 seconds. There was the gap back, but that's chase group now all behind. So 1 rider clear, 4 riders chasing. 6 seconds is the gap, and it is 1 kilometre to the finish line. So can our category A lone breakaway winner win this race? This is going to be interesting. Can she stay out? So break pushing on the power, good strong power. This is a time trial effort now to the finish line. Oh, the gap is continuing to to go out. 1 more second added to the time. It's gone up to 7 seconds. It's moving up to 8. It's not a concerted effort behind. Gem from the SRT squad, you can just see them coming around the corner behind. On the front, drilling it, but not drilling it like the rider at the front of this breakaway. So break on a breakaway at the moment. Nailing this towards the finish. Now coming towards the latter stages of this race. Well, is this it in Category A? Will Break pick up the 75 points that are awarded to the first rider across the line? It's 9 seconds back now. This is looking like a solo breakaway win in Category A. Break comes over the final sprint line. It is indeed the Stoneway sprint banner that this race finishes at. Break now pushing on, continuing to surge towards that banner. You can see it in the distance. You can see it on the top right-hand corner of your screen. This is the winning move in Category A. Phenomenal break from the rest of the pack. So Break goes through. She's going to be clear of the group behind there at 10 seconds. They might have launched their sprint, but they are not going to catch our lone leader as she goes underneath the banner. The sprint is on for second place behind them. Pruitt versus Erith. Erith pushing on, but Pruitt coming over the top. Pruitt absolutely motoring. Brewer has gone through as well as Gem. Category A, they are all over the line. Category B now coming into the mix. This is one group of riders. Alan from West CC, Parker, Angie from CMC, Randy Races Bikes has been fairly dominant. Becca Neeson from the Coalition squad, well, she has been really strong competition in this category. Judy from the Dinos, Low from Synergy, but the power-ups are down. The action is coming, and this is the push. The feather power-up has gone down. Randy Races Bikes is giving charge. So is Angie from CMC. That is the banner. They are all coming fast behind. Can Kate make this out front? Can Randy Races Bikes go over the top? Angie is coming. So is Neeson. So is Judy from the Dinos. But Randy Races Bikes, absolutely dominant she's been today. I think she's going to take this from Angie, from Neeson. Well, that is Category B. They are through and over the line. Category C are on the run in, and this big leading group have stayed clear from that early split, and it's over a minute back to the chasing group. So the leading group in Category C now coming through. They are going to pick up the points over the line. Who is going to pick up maximum points? 75 points for the rider across the line today. And well, it is moving at the moment because Hamilton from Kitty Hawk, she took the win this morning in the earlier race today in 46 minutes 12. This is 42.43. This is a much quicker race than we saw this morning. Is Hamilton going to do the double and lead this out and take the win? Is it going to be Peterson from Dirt, Meskova from Galaxy, and Ney from Gen 2? Is it going to be Bergen? Is it going to be Eklund from Swedish Swifters? The race is going to be on. We can see the banner on the top corner of the screen. This is the final corner. Then we're going to see the kick and the run. Who's going to kick? The power-ups have gone down. Bergen is moving at 6 watts per kilo. Meskova is there. Bergen takes the front. Meskova in 2. And Ney from Gento comes up. Franken is there as well. So is Smith from Gen. Yeah, can an A come over the top of Bergen? Can Peterson come up? I think it's going to be Bergen from an A. Peterson is going to be up there. Meskova is in the mix as well. Really great racing from the first group in Category C. This is the second group in Category C. Cash is in the mix. So is Sperry from ATP. So is O'Rourke from ART. Randomski from the Ionian squad in the mix. The organising team. Carmen from ART. Vale further back. They are over 2 minutes back. This is a group of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 riders coming in to the finish. They're going to go through the final right-hand, final left-hand bend. Then they're going to be on the run into the finish. Eklund The Swedish Zwifter rider is clear, 9 seconds clear off the front of the group. She's going to come through and pick up points clear from this chase behind. But, well, they are now into the final sprint. It's the Stoneway Sprint finish banner that is the finish to this race today at 27.8 kilometres. Cash is leading this out. The Sperry's just dropped the feather. Power up. The arrows are going in behind as well. Who's going to take this out? Is it going to be Cash? Is it going to be Sperry? We are going to see the riders now come towards the fore to pick up those points in the finish here. Well, Randomski from the Ionian squad, that Ionian jersey coming through the pack. Phenomenal final sprint from the Ionian rider. She's going to take the win from this chase group. And it is indeed going to be O'Rourke, the ART rider, who comes over the top as well of the group to take second place in that chase group. Well, we said this Category C group was split to smithereens, a little bit like our Category D race as well. And we are seeing that at the finish line now with riders coming in ones and twos and small groups of 5, 6s and 7s. Now, so Hamathi is coming through from the Coalition squad here, the lone rider coming towards the finish line as we see her move into the final 600 to 700 metres of this race. But behind her, Vale from the ART squad, 47 seconds back. 55 seconds back, Nat Shatton is in there. Carmen from ART just behind. Then we've got a further gap back to Jenkins, Sandra, Umbrello, Watson, Armistead, and Burgett as well from the Coalition squad. And again, then another minute gap back to Smith and KG from the Coalition. So this Category C race, this sprint efforts and this course have absolutely decimated the group and splattered them all over the parkour. Well, launching the sprint here, the Coalition rider coming in. Phenomenal racing all the way through this race field today. Our Category C riders giving it everything they've got as Hamathi from the Coalition comes in towards the finish line, going to pick up those finish points in 18th place today in this Category C race. Phenomenal racing from Hamathi. The race is on behind and Vale is leading it out from Nat Shatton at 2 seconds back. These two riders, you can see them there clear, and the push is really on from Vale, the ART rider, absolutely nailing it, just shy at 5 watts per kilo. Adamant she wants to get to that finish line first, inside that top 20th position, because the rider we are looking at on your screen, Nat Shatton, is the rider who is going to come through in 20th place in the Category C race. Behind there is indeed a chase on behind and a small group of 6 riders, and they, I am sure, are going to be sprinting hard to pick up the finishing points. Carmen from the ART squad, 22 seconds back. She's in between these 2 riders and that chase group, able to go with the earlier groups early on in this race, but just not able to stay with them. So Vale comes through to the finish now in this Category C race. Absolutely brilliant racing as we see Nat Shatton and then Carmen. This is Carmen, the rider from the ART squad we were talking about. Again, off the front of the chase group. The chase group now 14 seconds behind and coming in hot. But Carmen from ART is going to take 21st place in the Category C race today. And the front end of that Category C race, what a race, what a ride. We said the Category C race was won by Hamilton this morning in 46.12. 42 minutes the winning time in Category C this afternoon, and well, the second round of the Iceni Women's Series today in Category C. Really hard racing. No wonder that Category C pack all over the road. Well, we saw 2 riders go clear in Category D. We're seeing 1 rider come into the finish. The lone rider, JM. She'd been out with Nancy since Titans Grove, since the 5 kilometre mark. The 2 Canadian riders had ridden clear. JM is the winner of Category D today. 47 minutes, under 47.20. Nancy coming through for second place. We can see that, and look at the gap behind. We had 5 riders behind. We've now got 3. So the race behind has really heated up because Savage, the Evo rider, was clear when we last saw Category D. She's been brought back by 2 riders, Sarah from Herd and Weber from Coalition, to form a group of 3 riders on the road. So this is 3rd, 4th and 5th in the D race that these riders will be racing for on the run into the finish line. Aisha is 18 seconds back with Zwift from Level Racing, and then a further 20 seconds back, Shaffer, Walker, Taylor, Ross. Well, the group has split again because then Hannah, Marshall and Rowe are a little bit further back again. So again, this Category D race all over the road. So 3rd, 4th and 5th place in this Category D race now coming round the final section of bends before they see the finish line on the Canopies and Coastlines race. It could well be a sprint. And Savage from Evo has kicked at 6 watts per kilo. Oh, she's come off the pace. Interesting. A kick and then a come off, and she's gone and she's kicked again now. So Savage from Evo putting the power down. But now again, she's sat back. This is interesting tactics here. You know, not wanting to put too much effort down, but again, she's kicked again now. Weber's gone over the top. Savage just checking. She wants to win this. She wants to take 3rd place. She's currently leading the points competition overall coming into today. She wants to pick up as many points as possible, so I'm not surprised she has managed that effort to take the win from that group of 3 to get 3rd place in Category D today. Well, Zwift from Level Racing, she's 2 seconds clear of Aisha. Well, she's going to come through for 6th place in Category D race today. Aisha's going to come through for 7th, just behind. We're going to see a bit of a sprint and a bit of a push, I think, on here, because Shaffer and Walker and Taylor with Ross from Rave are all in the mix, and Taylor from Level coming up and over the top. Is she going to go up and over the top of the 2 riders? She is indeed. So Shaffer and Walker get pushed back down the pecking order because Taylor from Level has gone up and over the top and into 10th place. Hannah G from Level, Marshall from Coalition. These 2 riders 7 seconds clear of the Welsh rider Rowe behind. They are coming in now towards the finish. The final section of bends now up front. They sweep right, they sweep left, and then if they look up, they see that green finish banner. That's the start of the Stoneway Sprint section that signifies the banner is coming at the end of the race, and Hannah from Level has pushed on at 4.6 watts per kilo, wanting to pick up the more points. Marshall is responding from the Coalition. Steady response there, in fact just a kick there at 5 watts per kilo, just trying to manage that gap. But no, I think Hannah G is going to take this. She's launched the power up, she's pulling away. Marshall now launches the draft power up. It's a 40-second power up. Is it going to be enough to bring her back together? But no, it's not. The gap now at 2 seconds. It's going to be Hannah G from Level who goes over the line in front of Marshall from Coalition. Rowe, the rider behind, is coming and coming fast, but she's 1 second back. She's going to come underneath the line there. Take a look at that. Close racing in Category D. 15th place is Kroll. She's going to be the next rider through and under the line in Category D. Well, the one thing I love about the Iceni race series is that all of our race fields never disappoint in that scrabble for points, that race for the finish line. Everybody giving it their all today on the Iceni Women's Race Series. It's Challenge 2. Well, there's 2 more challenges to go. It's a 4-challenge series across the 4 Saturdays in September. 4 race fields. Well, we've had 2 races now where we've been focusing on sprints. Next week is the start of the climbs. Our riders are going to face 2 climbs next week, and it is going to be a really epic race on the Coastal Crown Loop. So Kroll from Level Racing, the Welsh rider now coming towards the finish here in Category D, currently lying in at 15th position. She's going to see that finish line and come through well clear of the riders behind, over 3 minutes back to the Coalition rider behind her. So Kroll very steady and very sure of her position today. Heathcott from Coalition will be the rider in 16th place, and I can tell you that because she is 1 minute and 40 seconds clear of the 2 chasing riders. Janzek and Müller, the two riders chasing. AP, the rider, back 7 minutes behind. And, well, it's been a great race today in Category D. It's been a great race in all of our categories. And very shortly, I know we're going to be able to see some results. Well, let's take a look at Category A. So we had 3 sprints today, the Woodland reverse, the Sasquatch reverse and the Acropolis reverse sprint, and then we had the finish line. So we saw Jill Pruitt take the first sprint, Yarrath into Brewer in 3, Brake in 4 and Thompson in 5. Brake then took the sprint in the second sprint section, Yarrath, Pruitt, Thompson and Brewer. Jill Pruitt was back on top for the Acropolis reverse, then Brewer, Yarrath, Thompson and Brake. And it was indeed Brake who took that win from Yarrath, Brewer, Pruitt and Thompson. What does all that mean? Well, if you add all those points up and then you add in the points from last week, on the left-hand side, it's the live leaderboard. So Jill Pruitt extends her lead to 246 points. She was tied last time with Mayel at 109. So in joint first place, she's now on single first place. Thompson moves herself up from 4th to 2nd. Yarrath moves herself into 3rd place. Brake comes into 4th. Brewer sits in 5th. Mayel, who was top of the leaderboard last week, not competing this week, sitting in 6th now with 109 points. So everything to play for. But Jill Pruitt, she was tied coming into the race with Mayel on 109. Look what that points tally does. She is now, well, she now has a nice healthy gap at the top of the leaderboard. So that was Category A. Category B, well, we saw Gino at the top of the table coming in with Becca Neeson in 2nd place, just 1 point back. The Woodland reverse, Gino took the sprint. In fact, take a look at that. Randy Gino took the sprint win in all 3 of the sprints today, and she took the sprint coming across the finish line. So she picks up maximum points today. 150 points going to Randy Gino. Judy Hay taking some points there as well, coming through those sprints. So is Becca Neeson. Becca Neeson in the top, well, 4 overall there and coming through 3rd over the line. Maggie Lowe in the mix as well. Kitty Kate in the mix too. But over the finish line, it was Randy Gino from Angelica Nell, Becca Neeson, Cheryl Parker, Kitty Kate, Judy Hay, Jen Plantlook, Maggie Lowe and Susan Allen. Which means on the live leaderboard, on the left-hand side of your screen, Randy Gino extends her lead over Becca Neeson to 30 points. So Gino in 1, 253 points. Neeson in 2, 223 points. Then Nell moves up from 5th to 3rd place overall. Allen moves up from 6th to 4th, tied with Hay there on 170 points. So even not at the top of the table, there's going to be competitions week in, week out to get those positions in that top 10. Parker lying in 6th, Lowe in 7th, Parkinson and Kitty Kate tied on 95 points, and just 3 points back from 9th in 10th place is Flavia Le Pen. All to play for in Category B, right at the top of the table and indeed further down. In Category C, well, we saw the dominance early on of Bergin in those first 2 sprints, and she took the finish line as well. Also up there, Meskova, who we knew was riding strongly in 3rd place coming into this. Hamilton there as well. Franken riding strongly too. And you can see the mix of riders picking up points across those 3 sprints in this category. Linny O'Rourke as well doing really well in that Acropolis reverse sprint at the end. The finish line, it was Holly Bergin from Ane, from Lily Franken, Nicola Smith, Zuka Meskova, Zal Peterson, Siv Engmo, Jessica Hamilton, Alex Hasselkus and Joanna Eklund rounding out the top 10. What does that mean for the live leaderboard? On the left, Lily Franken stays in the lead, and she extends that lead to 190 points. Nicholas Smith drops to third. Meskova moves up from third to second. I spy some hot competition amongst those two. In fact, the top three, well, look, it's not that far up to the 190 points that Lily Franken holds. Megan Radomski moves herself up into the top five. A fourth place for her, the Ionian rider, with that strong finish. Egmo sitting in fifth at 147 points. Dropping from fourth. O'Rourke now lying in sixth. Eklund in seventh. Bergin not racing round one, but lying in eighth now overall. Schalbach at 127 points, tied with Sperry in 10th. So 9th and 10th on the same points in Category C. That just leaves us with Category D. And Savage picking up that first sprint from Taylor, Hannah and Weber and Hoffman. Then we saw the Canadian riders moving strongly. And, well, they're the riders who really went through that Sasquatch reverse sprint first, because it was first across the line. So JM and Nancy Popovic picking up points. Savage coming through for third and Hoffman. Then we see the Acropolis sprint reverse. Well, JM picking up the points there as well. The first two Canadian riders also doing strongly on that final section. Savage, Hoffman, etc. through that line. The finish line, it was JM, it was Popovic, it was Savage, it was Weber, Hoffman, Zwift level. Zwift from level. Taylor, Schaffer and Walker. If you've got two boxes for a name, please change that for next week. I urge you to put a name in there so that we can allocate points to you properly. And what does that do for the live leaderboard? Well, on the left, Savage, she stays in the lead, but she extends her lead over Sonia Weber, who was indeed in second place coming into this. So 1 and 2 stay 1 and 2, but they just pick up more points. Hoffman moves from 5th to 3rd. Taylor stays in 4th place, but accumulates more points. Beth R moves up into 5th. Marshall is there in 6th. Not far back, Hannah in 7th. And again, not far back, Schaffer in 8th. This is very, very close. Walker in 9th and JM rounding out the top 10 with 125 points. It is going to be really close racing, but a good strong lead there from Celine Savage at the top of the Category D leaderboard. Wow, what racing we have seen today from all of our racers across the Iceni race series here for Challenge 2. All the points today in the last half of the race. Having ridden that first half, tough stuff from our event organiser, Carla Williams. She knows how to pick a course. Well, all 4 race fields today doing a fantastic job. Next week, it's the climbs that count. That's where the points are going to be. Don't forget to tune in. And if you want to join us for Challenge 3, head over and join on the Zwift events page. Don't forget, you can head over to Zwift Power to see the full results from the racing today. Or you can follow at the Warrior Games on social media channels, because all the results will be put out there as well. You can follow ZMS Esports Studios on YouTube or Facebook. Give it a like, give it a follow. Stay up to date with all the racing broadcasts and get notifications. Of course, you can follow me at biking_Emma on Instagram. Or you can take a look at Full Speed Events, and you can use your phone on that little photo square there and join us on Wednesday night, because the Women's Only Wednesday Chain Gang is back on the 18th of September, which is Wednesday at 6:15 p.m. BST. I can't wait, and I will not be commentating. I will be leading the ride. So join me then. It'll be great fun. Until then, stay safe, enjoy your riding. Goodbye.